It felt like this coming-of-age story in a time of monsters, which is not something that you expect. Hey, it's Kristen, and today we're talking about the brand new film, Lovin' Monsters. Starring Dylan O'Brien, this story takes place 7 years after the Monsterpocalypse. All of humanity has been living underground since giant creatures took control of the land, and after connecting over the radio with his high school girlfriend, Joel Dawson decides to venture out to find her despite all the dangerous monsters that stand in his way. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on Lovin' Monsters. Like I mentioned, this film is led by Dylan O'Brien, and he's a really charismatic actor, and I think it makes it really fun to follow his journey. He starts out as this character who's literally afraid of everything. He's afraid to go back up to the Earth's surface because of these monsters that are roaming, even though the other people in his colony are going out and finding food and stuff. He always freezes up when it comes to going up against a monster. And I think as we dive further into the film, it kind of becomes obvious that he's kind of suffering from a sort of PTSD in a way after seeing his own parents be killed by monsters, and I think that's what really kind of holds him back. But as he's living underground, all of these people in his colony have paired off and he's sort of alone. And when he manages to reconnect with his former high school sweetheart, he kind of realizes that like he needs to go do something and get out there and go find her because he's tired of living this life where he's scared and alone. And I really liked this kind of message that they had in this film that, you know, this guy who's afraid of everything can go and travel 7 days across the Earth's surface. Even the person who's like least likely to survive can make it, that like we all can do it. You know, it felt like this coming of age story in a time of monsters, which is not something that you expect, realizing what you can do when you really put yourself out there. And we do get to see some satisfying emotional moments that I think give our character Joel some closure. And I also really loved all the different types of people that we got to meet along his journey that really help him and kind of teach him how to survive. Clyde and Minnow, boy who's always there for him, and the two of them become this little duo that are always protecting each other. And we really get to see that everything this character Joel learns helps him when he actually goes and finally sees Amy. Because, you know, this whole time we think we're just on this journey for this guy to be reunited with the love of his life, and then when we get there it turns out things are not really what they seem. And also I really enjoyed how they addressed this idea that, you know, Joel went all this way to be with this girl that he loves, and she didn't know that that was his plan, and he thinks he's gonna show up and sweep her off her feet and they're gonna be together. And when he gets there he kind of realizes like that's not how the world works. And I like that he wasn't upset about it, but kind of more realizing like that was on him for thinking that like this person that he hasn't seen in so long is just going to fall into his arms and be like, thank you for rescuing me, I'm a damsel in distress, when that's not what the situation really was. In fact, the character Amy that he's trying to go meet is actually like leading this colony, and the two of them end up being able to work together to battle these new forces that they're up against. And it felt really equal. It didn't feel like, oh, she needs saving, which I really appreciated. I also really enjoyed this concept that they introduced of not all monsters are bad. You know, you can look into their eyes and know their true intentions. And I think they did a good job of introducing things like that and other little moments that Joel learned along his way that ended up really serving him and helping him survive later on.
Oh, that was awesome. Oh, I feel like Tom Cruise.
And I think that the way that they ended the story was smart because we do get to see our character Joel go on this big journey and this big transformation over time, but he also teaches everyone else in these colonies about what he learned, and it kind of makes it seem like they're gonna all go together to the mountains and, you know, form a new colony together and, you know, be stronger together and fight these monsters. And I think that the way that they kind of ended it made it seem like they could dive into sequels. There was something about like Clyde and Minnow, for instance, that reminded me of Zombieland, and I could just see them maybe bringing the two of them with Joel and Amy together to kind of form a new crew that's going to fight off, you know, monsters in the mountains or something. Additionally, we never got a reveal when it came to Boy's owner and what really happened to her, so I'm curious to see maybe if we did get a sequel, if maybe they'd end up meeting up with her in the mountains. When it comes down to it, I actually really had a lot of fun with Lovin' Monsters. I think this was kind of like a fun, coming-of-age monster comedy story that I think is pretty self-aware. I think they had some really fun-looking monsters and creatures based off off of, you know, bugs and crabs and things that we know in real life, but, you know, kind of gave them a really interesting design. There were also just a bunch of one-liners and, you know, moments that I thought were really funny. I think that they tackled a lot of really great themes, from, you know, found family to kind of realizing that, you know, not everybody's a damsel in distress that needs saving, to realizing that you have the power and the strength to get through anything, even a monster apocalypse. There was something really like fun and refreshing about it that I think a lot of people will enjoy. If you guys like this one, you can check out more of my reviews right over here, and I'll catch you in my next video. See ya!